I was born in Artesia, California.
I was born in New Haven, Connecticut.
I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico.
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California.
I am from Rochester Hills, Michigan.
In school, I was the good student, studious. I was quiet. People wouldn't think I was this tomboy, hyper kid outside of school. It was a good childhood. I had a lot of love. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of my cousins with me, and so I was a happy kid.
Looking back, I realized I was kind of an old soul. I was pensive when I needed to be, reading books like Gone with the Wind when I was 12 years old and falling absolutely in love with Rhett Butler and devastated, of course, at the ending. But I think looking back that I was really an old soul, and I'd sit in the kitchen as my mom was cooking in the evenings, listening to Nat King Cole.
In high school, I was known as a church girl, and I played sports. Always kind of funny, big smile. I'm nice. Friends say I'm nice.
My paternal grandparents died when I was young. I was about 10 years old. And I remember it really impacting me. Not that death scared me, but I remember feeling very sad. And my brother's 3.5 years younger than me, and I remember him just crying. I remember one night going to lie with him and help him. And here I was only 10, and he was 7.5. But that's a very vivid memory.
Something that was very important for me growing up was going to my grandmother's house every Sunday. Her house and who she was very formational for me. It was important to me because my grandmother paid attention to me even as a child. She valued what I had to say and encouraged me, and she would tell me about what she was cooking or offer to play with me after when I was finished. And I just felt seen by her, and it was really special.
I took a CNA program in high school to see if I really wanted to be a nurse. As you would walk into the room, the dining room, and you see every day, you just see the same senior sitting in the same place by themselves, and you never see their family members. So I just felt really bad for them. I mean, just them being lonely, and I always, thought to myself, this is not the way someone should be spending their last days all by themselves. I had a lot of love at home. I have a big family. I'm really close to my grandmother. I couldn't picture her being alone or anyone being alone.
I worked for 13 years actually for a design company, and that was a nice job, and I certainly had flexibility and seniority because I was there for so many years. But I knew deep in me that this is not what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I needed to either keep going and doing what I was going to do, what I had been doing, and not necessarily be happy, or really get in touch with what I really wanted to do. And being one of 3 older students, as opposed to the 20-year-olds and even some 30-year-olds, it was a pretty cool experience. Actually, it was a really great experience. I've made some very good friends and connected really nicely with some professors that I'm sure I'll keep in touch with, I hope, the rest of my life. And I'm glad. I have student loans now for a long time, but it'll be worth it. Yeah, it feels really good to have finally accomplished that, absolutely.
Well, it goes back, not surprisingly, to my grandmother. She had Lou Gehrig's disease, and when I was 14, she had a very fast decline in a hospice facility in Connecticut. It was one of the first ones in America, beautiful on the coast in Connecticut, in Branford. And the environment that I was in allowed me at hospice, allowed me to do what I needed to do, which was be upset or have a place to sit and to do my homework, or a place to go outside and to walk. And all of that at the same time being able to interact with my dying grandmother. And it stuck with me, and the staff stuck with me. And the way that they were able to facilitate her dying process, and I felt like I was able to say goodbye and to be a part of my family as a whole, because they were coming in from out of town. And what could have been a really, really awful situation ended up being peaceful. And the memories that I have of it are peaceful.
And I decided one day that it was time to ask my mom, what was it like for you? What happened the day Grandma died? And so it was just a few weeks ago when my mom was visiting with me when I asked her. And I think that took our relationship to another level, because we cried together as she shared with me what it was like the day my grandma died, the decisions that she had to help make. And I think that I, more than any other time in my life, was able to sit with her and empathize with her, but actually be able to support her. It's been 20 years since my grandma died, and to watch my mom still get very sad and cry at the just mentioning how much she misses her mom, you know, it really just brings in everything that we do here in the bereavement program. It ties in what we try and reassure people with every day, that that grief it's okay, and it's hard at times, and it's going to come back often, and probably for the rest of your life. And to be able to sit there and be there with my mom in a way that I'd never been able to before was really something special.
You know, I've had someone, give me all the complaints about their husband. And I used to hate this and hate that, and these slippers that he had, I couldn't stand them. So the first thing I did when I came home from the funeral was throw them away. And I was like, good for you. You didn't like those slippers. You didn't, and he can't do anything about it. And she laughed. She's like, yep, he can't do anything about it. He's dead. And then she started crying. And she's like, but I miss him. And I'm like, I'm sure, and you will miss him. And you're gonna miss him for the rest of your life. And people appreciate the honesty. I don't sugarcoat it. You can't. It's sad.
Actually, this week I've met with a patient and his partner, and the partner was telling him, I tell him not to cry and not to feel sad, and he thought he was protecting his partner by saying, I'm okay, I'm at peace with myself, don't cry. He even told him, don't be mad at God, don't be angry at God when I die. But I could see that his partner was just quiet. And then I used that as an opportunity to say, no, it's okay for him to be sad, it's okay for him to cry. It's actually part of the healing process. And when I started to educate them about why it's okay for him why he has to go through this, and it's part of just the process. He's anticipating a loss, so he's starting to feel those different emotions. And I said, it's okay. And I explained, and he said, you're right. I hadn't thought about it that way.
I get to hear a lot of love stories. So many love stories. I've never seen the movie The Notebook, and I don't think I ever need to. I hear that's like a really good love story, but I hear love stories on the phone all the time. And to hear widows and children, adult children, just talk about the love that they had for someone is just, I call my mom and my dad every day and I tell them I love them. My brother and my sister, I tell them I love them. There's a deeper appreciation when I hang up the phone with them. It's pretty amazing.
Just now thinking of mortality and how much time do we have left, because we don't know, and that's why it's so important to live life the best we can. And which also makes me feel that I finally, got back to school and did what I really wanted to do, because I wouldn't want to have that regret later on about why didn't I do what I really wanted to do, No one wants to have regret like that.
And last week I was doing a 1-year anniversary call to a spouse. So I prepped myself and I went to call, and I was expecting to hear someone who was very emotional and having a really hard day. And it was one of those calls. She answered, realized who I was, and she just started talking. And she was in a place of just such a beautiful acceptance. Not to say she wasn't still sad and missed her husband. She did very much. But she just spent the time sharing with me stories about their 60-year-long marriage, where they met, the children they had. She talked about her children, where they're at. And then she went through the narrative about when he was diagnosed and what they decided to do with the time they had together and how she let him make that decision. It was really beautiful. She shared with me that when they found out that he had cancer, the doctor gave him an option. You can start treatment and this is what your life would look like, or you cannot do treatment and this is about how much time you'll have. And he looked at his wife and he said, I want to spend this year traveling with you. I don't want to do the treatment. And she said at first that was hard for her because she, of course, wanted more time with him, and that meant treatment. But she said, I let him make the decision. It was his life, and I accepted it. And now I wouldn't change it for the world. We spent a year traveling around the entire world, and the memories I have now, the memories he left me with, filled me up so much that on days like this, I get through them because I have those memories to think about, and I have my children to call. And we talked for probably about a half an hour, and by the time, when she was done, she was done. And she was one of those people where when I'm talking to her, she's sharing her stories and she's opening up. And then afterwards, she just reassured me that she was doing really well. She was okay. She was still sad. She still missed her husband, but she was okay. She described this incredible faith she has, something that helps get her through the hard moments. And then she just very abruptly said, thank you so much. It was so nice you care. Okay, bye-bye. And she hung up. I mean, that was it. And I just sat there kind of baffled. So of course, when I go home after a phone call like that, I'm very aware of the fact that, I want to have something like that someday. I want to be able to, at some point, be able to reflect on a long life I've had with someone I've loved, and I think that's where you take work home with you. I think that that's how the work that we do really influences and shapes who you are and the relationships you have.
A lot of times, grief comes at you like a wave, and that's how it hits me. There are moments when I'll just remember her, and I'll almost think to pick up the phone and call her. And then I, of course, know that she's not there. But again, grief is very wave-like in the fact that it comes in and out. And knowing that I was able to make it through helps me to be present for other people who think that maybe they can't make it through. Or at least experience life beyond grief.
The memorial service, it was the first one I'd ever planned, and so I didn't know quite what to expect. With Denise speaking, I was so impressed with what she said. It wasn't so much an education on what grief is. It was more what was her experience, and she really brought up some analogies that really resonated with the family members and loved ones that came. We forget sometimes because with what we do every day, it's what we do for our job. But I think sometimes we forget that not everybody has an opportunity to openly reflect on their loved ones and how therapeutic that can be, and sharing the memory of a loved one with a room full of people who get it, who are also riding their own grief journey. They get it, and to share those stories with people who understand, I think it's a gift that we offer that not everybody gets.
Celebration is special. You hear their life stories, the living eulogies, and it's like, wow, I want to know this person more. And yeah, they're fun. We get lunch.
They're really a time to reflect and a time to celebrate, and a reminder of why we're here and why we do what we do.
It's a very cool thing that the agency does for the employees, and to honor everybody and celebrate them. But it's also it's a very touching and emotional thing. It's quite beautiful. I'm really impressed.
I go and I get to hear these stories about people that I see frequently, and I get to see a different side of them, and I get to hear them talk about why they're passionate about what they do, and it's something I look forward to. It really does. It fills me up. I'm crying usually. I'm not gonna lie. I cry at every celebration.